It's been, what, 5 years now that I started doing eBay and YouTube as a full-time job. This is going to be a slightly different video, a video that hopefully helps you guys get motivated in becoming a full-time or a part-time reseller, or just doing a little bit on the side. I've now been doing YouTube and eBay for 5 whole years. It's been a crazy ride, and one that I will cherish for the rest of my life, and one that I'm super proud of. eBay has completely changed my life. Let me explain. I started doing this in 2020, where reselling was probably at its hype. There was crazy amount of people doing eBay reselling and documenting it via YouTube. Let's rewind 5 years. I started doing this in my second bedroom. That's where it all started. I remember working on the field, and we had a lady that came in and she said, "Have you ever tried reselling?" And from that day onwards, I fell in love with it. So yeah, massive shout out to her, because if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, because I never even heard of it. So the fact that I am here is crazy. Like, it's crazy that I'm on YouTube talking about reselling in general and documenting my journey. And that's what this is all about. That's why I made a YouTube channel, just to keep myself accountable and to just document my journey. And looking back at some of my old videos, there's been a hell of a journey, that's for sure. I remember sitting at work thinking, how on earth am I going to make reselling a full-time business? So what I did personally, and I do get this question quite often, is when did you make the jump? How did you make the jump? Making the jump from part-time to full-time, not guaranteed any income and all that good stuff, is one of the hardest decisions I've ever made in my life. But I tell you now, it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made. In fact, it is the best decision I've ever made in my life. What I did is I saved 3 months of wages and £1,000 plus, just in case the worst happened. That way I had 3 months wages saved up, so if I could literally not sell anything for 3 months, be able to pay for my bills, pay for my house, pay for electric, water, gas, tax and all that good stuff. I made sure that I had all that sorted, secured 3 months in advance, and then I took the leap of faith and jumped straight into reselling full-time. As you can imagine, my parents were a little bit, "Are you sure you want to do this sort of thing?" And I was like, "Look, I'm not happy in my full-time job. I just want to do something that I really enjoy." And I'm a strong believer, if you do a job that you really enjoy, it makes it feel like you're not working a day in your life. And to be honest, for the last 5 years, I have felt that way. I feel like I'm not even working. I'm doing something that I really enjoy. And that to me is way more important than any amount of money in this world. As long as I'm enjoying doing what I do, which I am, it's massive for me. We're now in the bedroom where, you know, we're trading, we're buying, we're selling, we're buying from charity shops, we're buying from car boots, we're sticking them on the old internet in front of millions and millions of people, hoping and praying for a sale. Things have started to really take shape, and things have started to hit home. The struggle was real back in the day, right at the start of any business, but that is the nature of the game. When you're starting a brand new business, the first couple of years are the hardest years of your life. If you put all the time and effort that you physically can into a business, you will succeed. Take it from me, if I can do it, you guys can do it, trust me. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, however, I'm very dedicated and I'm very passionate about what I do, and them two things, they're passionate and dedicated, are the reasons why we are here now. I remember going to car boots and charity shops thinking, I really need to find stuff now, because this is now my full-time job. If I can't find fast moving items, then I might have to go back to my full-time job, which, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen, is something that I really did not want to do. So I made sure that every single day I'd get up, I'd go charity shopping, I'd go car boot sales, I would find some products to flip online for a profit. I'd try and buy it as literally as low as I physically can and sell it for as high as I physically can. That is the business model. It's as simple as that. But actually putting it into practice, putting it into motion, that was the hardest thing. But I made sure every single morning, get up 8 o'clock, go to charity shops at 9 o'clock. If I had to get up at 6 o'clock for a car boot, I would do that for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I'm still doing that to this day, making sure that we've got enough stock to get us through the year. You've got to put a lot of time, a lot of effort But again, if I can do it, you guys can do it. 6 months later, I moved into a office in Spalding, which was a bit of a game changer, if I'm honest with you, because then I had to pay for the space, which obviously isn't cheap. It all comes at a cost. There's nothing in life that is free anymore, let's put it that way. I had to make sure I had enough money for myself, enough money for my house, my bills, and my office space in Spalding. For me, it was a lot better actually physically going to somewhere of work. That way, in my mind, in my brain, I was at work. Sometimes I could get quite easily distracted working from home or in my garage. That this was the best business decision to date that I ever made, was moving into the Spalding unit. 6 months later, I then moved up north in with my partner, who is also a reseller. However, I kept the business down south. So every weekend, looking back now, it's absolutely stupid. Every weekend I would travel 3 hours there and 3 hours back just to pack my orders. Looking at it now is absolutely crazy. It is laughable, let's be honest. That was one of the worst business decisions I've ever made, was to move up north and then to come back down on the weekends to pack my eBay orders. What was I thinking? I have absolutely no idea. In between that though, I actually got offered to go on a Channel 4 TV program called Bidding Wars, and that was through like YouTube and Instagram. Bidding Wars was amazing. It was a very, very fun experience. Never been on TV before. Met one of my idols growing up, Kev Dwala, what an absolute legend. The day that he followed me on Instagram, and we speak to till this day, to be fair, absolute legend. He was the presenter of Blue's Clues. He gave me a Blue's Clues puzzle piece signed by him. Absolute legend. That was like, what has my life become? My life was crazy at this point, so something had to change. And that was to move my business up north. I couldn't keep driving 6 hours every weekend to pack my orders because it was just did not make good business sense at all. It was one of the worst decisions I did. Probably did that for like 4 to 6 months. It's part of my journey and it's part of the reason why eBay changed my life. 6 months later down the line, we then combined our two businesses, and myself and my partner, we combined both eBay businesses into one and combined as a limited company, which was really, really scary because obviously I've built up my business, she's built up her business. So the decision to combine and have one big super business was a decision that took a lot of time, a lot of logistics, a lot of talking between ourselves, our accountant, etc., etc. And I can tell you categorically now, it was the best decision that we've ever done. Combining together and creating one super duper eBay store has been an absolute beautiful thing. But that came at a cost. And the cost is we had to get more space because obviously we're combining two eBay stores into one. So we are literally where we are now in the same unit that we have had for maybe pushing 2 years now as a combined company. And it's the best decision we've, another great decision. Costly one, but it's one that we have to make. It's part of the business. It is what it is. At the end of the day, you cannot run from space. You grow within your space. And that is what we've done here. We combined together, rent out this beautiful warehouse that we have together. And to be fair, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's been really, really good for us. And it's just part of growing. You know, the more you grow, the more space you need. And that is the nature of the game. Because me and my partner like to go on holiday fairly often. We like to treat ourselves for a holiday. I think it's super, super important, especially when you work for yourself, because times can be very, very stressful. And the way we like to de-stress is go on holiday. That's where Ed joined us. He helps us, especially when we are on holiday, which means we can keep the eBay shop running while we're on holiday. So we're not actually like losing any money whatsoever. The shop runs as normal. Ed comes in, packs our orders, picks our orders, does a little bit of listing while we're away, and nothing has changed from our eBay side. And that has been an absolute game changer. Being able to go on holiday, not put your shop on holiday mode, keep it running as normal, sales still fly in. It's been absolutely sensational, which kind of leads us to where we are today, which is, again, incredible. I'm super proud of what I've achieved, what we've achieved, what the team has achieved. However, there's a few more things I would like to talk about, and that is the way we have changed our sourcing techniques. We now have a lot of contacts, and that has been an absolute game changer. I know some of the contacts watch my video, so if you are watching, then thank you so much for propelling our business, and I hope we can continue this business relationship going forward. Again, having mad contacts like we do, that comes at a cost, which is where we go and buy the van. The van was an expensive buy for the business, but a very, very important one. Having the van has helped us tremendously. We can go out and buy a van load at a time, massive amounts of stock. We can process that stock as fast as possible, but we wouldn't be able to do all of that if we didn't have a van. Can you imagine trying to shove all that stock in like a Focus or a smart car or a Mini or anything like that? The van has been an incredible purchase, which has allowed us to buy an unfathomable amount of stock. However, having more stock means that we need more space. So as of maybe 4 weeks ago, we purchased another container which goes alongside this container, and that again comes at a cost. You see where we're going? The more that you grow, the more costly it becomes. We have probably outgrown the new space that we bought, so we are actually in talks of potentially buying some more, but that probably will come in the new year. We've taken on Connor now as well, just to help process stock quicker, and coming into Q4 it will help with picking and packing. Connor has been a tremendous amount of help to the business. Connor is still fairly new to the business, he's still learning the ropes, but his help has been tremendous. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my journey and how eBay has changed my life. I'm incredibly proud of what I've achieved in 5 years, and I can tell you now the next 5 years are going to be bigger and better. So you're going to want to subscribe to the channel, and while you're down there, smash that like button. It really does help the channel grow. Hitting that like button does more than you can ever imagine. It helps push our content to wider audience and just gets them eyes on potentially subscribing as well. So if you could do that, please do that. Smash that like button. Honestly, it means the world to me. I've been your boy Kieran. I'll see you beautiful lot in the next one. Bish bash flipping bosh.